So here we have spawning up in the top right hand position as the red Protoss player representing FM Esports. None other than Boombox. And his opponent, down to the bottom left, the blue Protoss player, also representing FM Esports, it's Ourk. So, a bit of a team kill right now. Ourk playing Protoss. I believe he has recently been playing more Zerg. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Ourk, he's able to play all three races at a GM level, which is something that I believe only himself and a couple of others can. I'm not sure if Daishi is actually able to play all three races. I know Daishi can play Zerg and Terran at GM level, but I'm not sure about Protoss. Anyway, Boombox seems to be opening in a bit more of an interesting way for the moment. Just putting his gateway right at the back. And I say that's an interesting way just because it's a bit abnormal. People tend to put gateways roughly where Ourk has, near the front of their base. Boombox though, he's not one to go with the norm. Instead, playing it all chilled and all cool. So, not too much to talk about at the moment, just both opening pretty normal. Double gases coming down from both players. Thing to keep an eye on is whether there's 2 probes or 3 probes in each gas. 2 probes in each says, you know what, I'm opening fairly standard, bit of tech, mothership core out nice and quick, probably a sentry. 3 probes in each gas though says, hold on tight ladies and gentlemen, because we are getting some tech out now! And they get it out really quick. Either Stargate, Twilight Council, less often a robotics facility, but there'll be some tech, and it will be coming out fast. Boombox though, he's gone for the 2 probes in gas, so has Ourk, although he does have a 3rd one in 1, so he's gone up to 5 probes in gas. Like to take the middle ground there, there he goes, up to 6. Slightly behind that, or slightly ahead of that of Boombox's. Boombox investing instead into a 2nd gateway. This is a really good catch-all build that a lot of Protoss players have been utilising more in PvP. The 2nd gateway offers quite a few benefits in terms of pressuring if you get double stalker production, but also in a defensive nature. You can hold off things like a 3 gate with these 2 gates and a mothership core because of photon overcharge. It doesn't also knock your economy down too hard, then yeah, obviously you're not going to be running into too many problems there. So, over at Boombox's side, sorry, over at Ourk's side, Boombox just getting a little bit of a scout down. Doesn't see the Twilight Council though, it's just been begun by Ourk. However, great minds apparently do think alike, and Boombox is adding in his own Twilight Council. Both could, in theory, be going for Blink. Both could also be going for Dark Shrines. One could go for one could go for the other. The important thing is if either goes for a Dark Shrine, the other has to get detection. A Twilight Council is the only tech route that a Protoss player has that doesn't lead to some form of detection. You've got to keep an eye out for things like a Dark Shrine, so you can quickly start up detection if you need it. But there you go, Dark Shrine is coming down, whereas Blink is on its way out for Ourk. So Ourk needs to identify the risk of the Dark Shrine as quickly as he can, and then get down either a robotics facility or a Stargate. A robotics facility is more likely because then you can get an observer, whereas a Stargate, you can get an Oracle out and then obviously get detection that way, but it's only 60 seconds worth. The final option would be for Ourk to get a Forge and to then go in and produce a Photon Cannon, and that grants detection as well, but that's not ideal because it still locks your army back being defensive, because if you move out you've got no mobile detection. Luckily though, robotics facility is coming down now for Ourk, so he will have detection ready to deal with this. Hasn't got too much in the way of scouting information as of yet. Knows that, well, he doesn't actually know anything. He's got 0 information other than it was a 2-gate opening. Keeping a close eye on where this probe is going to go now. Just moving in, sees the robotics facility, coming round the back. Does get the scout down, just in barely enough time. Sees that Dark Shrine. And as such, the robotics facility should just pump out a chrono boosted observer, and then actually Ourk should be a-okay. With Blink as well, Ourk will actually have a slight advantage, to be honest, because he's going to be able to basically out-trade Stalkers of his opponent, just having Blink gives such more micro potential. The Observer moving forward, and this DT actually sneaking through past detection range. If he attacks now though, the rally point will get changed, so DT is going to rack up a couple of kills. Quite nice. Managing to get, wow, 6-7 kills before it goes down. That's a surprisingly high number. 8 in total workers killed. Wow. That DT, despite detection coming out, did a magnificent job and actually has done enough damage to justify its expense. Archon's probably going to be on the cards now for Boombox unless he's going for something a bit funky. He's also getting down a Warp Prism. This is going to allow him to go for a Dark Templar drop, which could also be very effective. He's just got to be a bit careful though, because Ourk, he's already pushing across the map and is going to be trying to get some nice damage down. And with Blink, he's got such good micro potential. As we're already seeing, he's trading very nicely now. The Sentry and a Stalker die. The Observer is there for Boombox, but there's no Observer at the moment for Ourk with the army. So he would be susceptible to some DTs, but a beautiful Blink up into the main, avoiding that force field completely. And Ourk should be set now to pretty much take this game. There's an Immortal on its way out, but an Immortal and one Stalker isn't going to be able to stop this many units. Photon Overcharge triggered in the main base as well. The natural base has still got that Photon Overcharge, but energy, oh, it's going to run out very soon. The Stalkers just playing a little game of hide and seek. Meanwhile, the Warp Prism moving forward here for Boombox. He's found a pylon. He should be able to take that down to prevent more Stalkers coming in anytime soon. That'll mean a very long resupply distance in order to save anything. A Dark Templar and a Stalker being morphed in there. The Observer, they're coming over. Going to focus that Warp Prism first. Meanwhile, at the natural base, we've got the Blink Stalkers engaging hard. Back of the pylon, the DT will die, keeping that proxy alive. More Stalkers going to be coming to aid in this siege of Boombox's base. These two currently tied at 33 workers apiece. The Immortal staying up is important. There's now a second one out, and Boombox now has a bit more momentum in order to hold off these Blink Stalkers. A very, very close game at the moment, and Ourk is unlikely to be able to break this position. Even though there's not many gateway units down, the two Immortals do such a magnificent job against Blink Stalkers. One Immortal can get focused down very fast and can't deal enough damage in time to stop things. But two Immortals, a handful of Blink Stalkers, can't kill them quickly enough before most of the Stalkers will be dead anyway. So it'd be a mutual destructive play. Ourk keeping an Observer with his army now as well. That's important. That Observer being down means that a DT can't sneak on up in and start chipping away at those Stalkers, especially if an engagement were to happen. Over at Ourk's base though, he's adding in a Robotics Bay, going to be moving up into Colossus Tech quite a bit before that of Boombox. Boombox opting for a Photon Cannon in his main mineral line, just to try and keep things safe, but Ourk coming to chip away at a couple more probes. We're going to try and focus that Photon Cannon down, but loses a couple of Stalkers in the process, which isn't ideal, and the Observer goes down, preventing any further plays blinking up into the main from being able to happen. Worker count fractionally in Ourk's favour, 48 to 43, but still a very, very close game. Neither player taking a drastic lead for the moment, and instead we've just got to keep just such a close eye on any movements that Ourk makes, because he's got to be harassing pretty steadily, because while he has got a lead, if he allows Boombox just to sit here and do what he wants, that lead starts to vanish and they get a lot closer. Whereas if he continues to harass, continues to kill off more workers, and continues to just force Boombox to be defensive, actually Ourk's able to build on his lead and get himself into an even better position. Ourk's about to have his first Colossus out. That's a really big turning point in any Protoss game. It's a huge amount of damage that can come through, very effective, and will start shredding through stuff, especially once you start getting 2-3 Colossi down. Boombox has a couple of ways to respond to that. Firstly, he can get his own Colossi out. He can also go for an Archon heavy play to tank up some of the damage. Or he could go for a bit more of a risky strategy in getting some Tempest down. But this would be a very early point to do that. Generally, the Tempest will be seen in a much later game situation, because Colossi are massive units, and are classed as air units for attacks, so therefore take massive bonus damage from Tempest. And that's really the only way to deal with Mass Tempest in a PvP. Another wave of Warpins coming down now from Boombox. Going to be going for some Warp Prism Harass up into the main base of Ourk. Ourk does have a cannon though in position, and that should give him enough to be able to defend against just a small little bit of harassment like this. Ourk is also busy getting down his own Templar archives. Boombox has his already. But Boombox still not looking to go into a Robotics Bay and therefore Colossus production quite yet. Instead, going for this Archon and Immortal mainly based composition. His concern just has to be these Colossi, and I'm not actually sure if Boombox has yet seen those. Warp Prism's still just chilling there. It's in its powered mode, so it can allow units to warp in, but obviously isn't in its moving and dropping mode as of quite yet. So there we go, Boombox is now going to go forward and try and get some damage done. That Photon Cannon is a little bit annoying. Upgrades for Ourk, slightly behind but about to level out, whereas a good number of Stalkers of Ourk here nearly get caught out of position. One takes a decent amount of damage. Quick little drop of these Zealots into the main base. The Photon Cannon taking quite a chunk of damage, is able to stay up though with a big warping of units. This is a nice little drop coming down from Boombox. A good number of Zealots coming into the main base, forcing Ourk to split his army up because simultaneously a push in towards the third is coming down. Nice use of Time Warp there. A good number of Immortals are in position. The Colossi though, they're the big damage dealers. The Zealots in the main base getting cleaned up. Ourk is able to force back this push into the third, utilising another Time Warp just to try and pick off that Immortal. The Charge Slots will get it. Take down a Pylon too. But Boombox did a catastrophically large amount of worker damage to Ourk, killing off 23 workers, giving him a 67 to 42 lead. He's also seen those Colossi, and as expected, a Stargate coming down, now we're later in the game. He should follow that up with a Fleet Beacon in order to get down Tempest. Voidways are also a relatively good choice, but if Ourk has already shown Blink Stalkers and opened with Blink Stalkers, he should have enough to really stop Voidways from doing too much damage, whereas Tempest just have the range required in order to stop them. So as expected, down comes the Fleet Beacon, Tempest on the cards, but the push from Ourk is already on its way. This is a lot of Colossi, 4 of them ready to siege, and there isn't too much here for Boombox. He can't take too much damage from this. That's going to be his biggest concern. He backs away. The Nexus, very vulnerable from this position. The Colossi able to outrange pretty much anything, and therefore just chip away at it, hit after hit, shielded at the back of the army composition. The Nexus not quite falling yet. Boombox wishes that he'd be able to save this, but doesn't want to take the engagement, knowing that he wouldn't trade well. So accepts the loss, and it goes to try and cut off the retreat. And this is a smart move. The Mothership Core doesn't have enough energy for a mass recall. A nice surround. The Colossi, though, being backed away to safety, where they can walk down that cliff, and as such, should be able to survive. Ourk able to take the game, and GG is called. Ourk 1-0 up in this best of 3, the semi-final of the Plantonics Cup.